no September peace talks. Rumours abound that there's a split between Harry and his wife. Rumours abound that they're in financial problems. It isn't a rumour that their popularity is tanked. It isn't a rumour that there isn't much being offered in terms of deals and opportunities at the moment. We also see that Harry's wife, of course, habitually attempts to rehabilitate herself, coming up with another reinvention. One option, of course, is for one or both of the gruesome twosome to slink back into the royal family. There's little doubt that if it was Harry on his own as a consequence of divorce, that he would be welcomed back into the family. There would be certain individuals that would certainly give him a very stern talking to as a consequence of his damaging disclosures and traitorous behaviours. But ultimately, the fact that he is family, and quite possibly the fact that he's on the receiving end of a stinging divorce and child custody proceedings, may swing the balance in his favour, so that he is admitted, albeit perhaps not forgiven. Far, far less likely is the possibility of Harry's wife being readmitted to the royal family. First of all, Charles may well not wish to do this as part of recognising the behaviours that she's engaged in, which subconsciously are a threat to his need for control. But also, what has to be borne in mind is that it's highly likely that the Prince and Princess of Wales will say no. William as a normal and Kate as an empath have been hard hit by the damaging behaviours of Harry's wife. And being less expedient than Charles, the narcissist, they are more likely to maintain an entrenched position, which is, no way can she ever come back. That presents Charles with a dilemma, because whilst he perhaps, governed by his narcissism, might see as part of facade management a route to allowing the gruesome twosome back in, it would derail control over the Prince and Princess of Wales, which, of course, is the heir to the throne. There's likely also to be considerable consternation raised by other royals at such a suggestion. And remember, for Charles, his narcissism needs to keep all appliances under control, not just one. And therefore, it would be far easier to turn around and nullify her threat to control by saying, you're not coming back in, so that it makes it easier for him to remain in control of other relatives, so he doesn't face a full-scale rebellion. But notwithstanding this being the likely sequence of events, it's not going to stop the Sussexes potentially trying to get on terms again with the royal family, because Harry's wife sees their value in doing so, because it's something that she can continue to talk about, that she can continue to milk that particular teat. But of course, what they're going to want, as has been mentioned before, is for them to be apologised to, because Harry's wife, and by extension Harry, see themselves as the victims in all of this. This has then prompted some to question whether some form of peace talks might actually occur to facilitate this. And given the fact there's the opportunity for this to take place in September, surrounding the attendance in Europe of Harry and his wife, might some peace talks take place? Well, Tom Sykes of the Daily Beast tells us, Prince Harry peace talks are not happening. Royal peace talks with Prince Harry are not on the agenda, contrary to what some reports have claimed the Daily Beast can reveal. Royal insiders and friends of King Charles and Prince William have scoffed at reports that the King will sit down for talks with Prince Harry on September the 17th. Buckingham Palace insiders dismissed the reports, and a friend of the King said that while they believe the King would always want to keep the door open to a reconciliation with Harry, which of course is facade management by making him seem like he's being reasonable, they did not think a physical meeting would take place just 3 days before the King is due to make an important state visit to France. A friend of Prince William said that even if Charles was of a mind to meet up with Harry, who, according to a report in OK magazine, was planning to stop over in the United Kingdom after attending the Invictus Games in Dusseldorf, there was no chance that William would agree to a tete-a-tete with Harry. This is because William, as a normal, has drawn a line in the sand. Not only has the behaviour of Harry's wife and Harry affected William, but more importantly, his family. And William has tremendous emotional empathy for them and is singularly unimpressed with the behaviour of his brother, both in terms of the harm that he's done towards his own family, but also the royal family more widely. Details of their last three-way secret meeting, called by Harry after Prince Philip's funeral, ended up as the opening scene of Harry's memoir, Spare, which again shows how the ginger dimwit shits all over the concept of confidentiality. In the book, Harry wrote, "I'd flown home specifically and solely for my grandpa's funeral. While there, I'd asked for this secret meeting with my older brother, Willie, and my father to talk about the state of things." In the opening section of the hit memoir, Harry said William and Charles had come to the meeting in a royal graveyard in Windsor, ready for a fight, called William his arch nemesis, and added that Willie in particular didn't want to hear anything, and that Charles begged his sons, "Please, boys, don't make my final years a misery." The friend of William told the Daily Beast, "Charles won't be seeing Harry, nor will William. No chance. He feels utterly betrayed by what Harry wrote about him in the book and said about him on Netflix." Thus Charles is reminded of what Harry did. That's a threat to control, and he nullifies it by saying, "No, we're not having a meeting." He asserts control by staying in a position of withdrawal. Asked if William hated his brother, as a source previously told the Daily Beast, the friend said he feels betrayed. They were very close growing up, so it has been very painful for William. But ultimately, what can he do? Just look at Spare. It's literally William's worst nightmare. It's a total violation of his privacy. On top of that, Harry's criticised Kate and the way he's bringing up his children. It's very, very sad. I think it's completely understandable that right now, William is absolutely disgusted by what his brother has done. William's friends have consistently characterised William as taking an uncompromising stance towards the brother he firmly believes has betrayed him. Friends of the late Queen Elizabeth have also expressed their dismay at Harry's bitter swipes against the monarchy in the final years of her life, when the family knew she was unwell and close to death. But friends of the new King and Queen have sought to express a more conciliatory tone. But as I mentioned at the outset, whilst the King might express a more conciliatory tone, he also has to keep in line his other son, his daughter-in-law, and other members of the royal family. And at the end of the day, expedience will out. His narcissism will cause him to ensure that Harry's kept on the outside and everybody else is kept on the inside. OK Magazine quoted a source who said, "The King has a rescheduled official visit to France on September the 20th, so has a few days to spare in London to meet with his son. Staff are trying to fine-tune the details as we speak." However, a friend who spoke to the Daily Beast brushed aside the claims while reiterating what seems to have become a default response among the King's circle. The King saying, "The King loves both his sons and the door is always open to Harry, but I don't think they will be meeting on September the 17th. The King will be preparing for the state visit to France." Thus, he maintains his facade without giving away control over gingerbollocks. Recent reports have suggested that while the late Queen Elizabeth continued to hope for a reconciliation with Harry that might lead to his return to the royal family, and therefore was reluctant to strip him of privilege that he might see as a snub, Charles has accepted a return won't happen, and has been more ruthless in cutting his younger son out of the family's affairs. Harry's HRH honorific was recently quietly excised from the royal family's website in what was seen as the latest such move by the King. Assertion of control, of course. The King is, however, understood to have maintained some contact with Harry, despite moves such as evicting him and Harry's wife from their Windsor home, Frogmore Cottage, a decision apparently made just days after the publication of the memoir, which was savagely critical of Camilla, nullification of threat to control. The journalist and author, the improbably named plastic-faced Lieutenant Omid Scobie, who is close to the Sussex camp, I'll say, firmly wedged up the arse of Harry's wife, said in a May interview with British TV show This Morning ahead of the coronation of King Charles, obviously the coronation, is the first time he, Prince Harry, sees his family face-to-face since the release of Spare. But I don't think people know there has been a somewhat regular pattern of conversation between him and his father since the release of that book. Now, Have they discussed the details and the points they wanted to go into? From what I hear, no. But he has had contact with his dad. Thus, Harry remains on the outside, and the suggestion that they're going to be able to somehow worm their way back in is being firmly quashed, as there are not going to be any peace talks. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.